today is an interesting interview because today we're talking about demonic possession. Demonic possession. What's it like being possessed? You know, what is the world of possession? I mean, what's it like? What's it feel like? And not just to be possessed, be possessed by a demon. And how do you know it's a demon? These are answers that I know a lot of us want to know. You know, first of all, is a possession even real? That's the first question everybody asks. And if it is real, how's it start out? What does it do? How does it affect your life? Well, I get the answers that I'm looking for through this interview. I can't tell you that. But I'm so excited to hear this story. So if this is your first time here to this channel, first of all, if you're not subscribed, you got to slap yourself. Or I'm gonna send demons to your house to possess you, to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. What we do here is I allow our guest, her name is Angel Wings. Her real name is a mystery. But we all know her as Angel Wings. She's gonna come up uninterrupted. She's gonna tell us her story uninterrupted. And then once she's done, myself with a special guest, Anthony of Unidentified S4, we're gonna ask her about 2 questions each. And then I'll give you my final thoughts. So get ready. Get some popcorn, get some soda, coffee. I got coffee here. This is Starbucks. They're not sponsoring the channel. They should be sponsoring us. I mean, why not? I mean, I drink enough coffee. They should be sponsoring us now. But get ready and have your crosses out, have your holy water, have everything. I feel like we're about to hit a wild ride.
Hello. Well, first I want to start out by saying some experiences will vary with perceptions, of course. Perceptions are so various. It depends on who witnesses it, who is a like experiencer. When you experience it, it's a whole new level. And I just wanted to share my first for the first time I realized I was powerful and had abilities. Because I had, when I was a kid, used to ask about when I was if I was an actual angel. Well, I do have gifts, that's for sure. I found out when I went to this party a long time ago. It was back in Alaska. It's a lot of people think it's beautiful and great, but there's some darkness there too. Because it was back when I lived in Alaska. I was there for 10 years. I was 26 at the time when it occurred. I was literally at a friend's house, and they were having a party, of course. Everybody was partying, and I just felt a weird vibe the whole time. It was real strange, ominous energy about it. Just didn't feel right. So I was looking around. I wasn't even really drinking much, and usually I do, and I just didn't feel like it. There was partying going on, and I happened to glance and walk past someone sitting on a couch. And I kid you not, it was the weirdest thing. When you first see something that's off, you just sit and stare. You don't mean to, but you stare. And this person, I'm not going to give his name, but I know his name, but he was sitting on this couch with a guitar in his lap, and he was just sitting there, and he was slowly run his fingers over the guitar strings, like real slow, and then his eyes looked really dark. And then the longer I looked, his pupils were black. And I didn't think much of it, but the way he was acting just sent chills up my spine, and it was creepy. I mean, and you normally put it off because you're all drinking and stuff, but when you think about it, when you're drinking, that's when you let it all in. That's when the dark can creep in, and it gives them opportunities. And he was really hard up into the drugs and stuff. So I could just imagine what was there. But I mean, it was the first time I actually got spooked about something, and it really bothered me to where it was vital I got out of that house. I even grabbed my boyfriend at the time. I pulled him. It was a little spooky. But literally, I drug him out of the house, and I said, there's something very, very wrong here. Sorry, bringing up old memories, but okay, that was my first encounter, and that was the first time I pulled him literally out of the house, and I said, "No, we're leaving now." I didn't give him an option, and we left. Well, later in the week, I ended up running into that same individual again, and I didn't think nothing of it because he seemed okay at first, but I guess after we got to back to the house, he had already drank all the alcohol in the house, and they were trying to take his knife away from him without him noticing it. And I guess he was distraught and out of sorts again, and really acting bizarre behavior, not normal. He was like, and not even drunk normal. You know how drunks slur. I just could feel something was different. And my boyfriend was sitting down drinking by him, and he kept stealing his alcohol from him and taking his beer from him. And my boyfriend happened to be a native, and not to be offensive to anybody, but natives really shouldn't drink. At least some of them shouldn't, because he was mean back. And so they started arguing and whatnot, and it became a big problem. But then we distracted him and got him to calm down. And the whole time I was like, I wasn't afraid at all. There was something about it. And I wanted to stand up to him, but his stepbrother wouldn't let me. He kept holding me back, trying to say stuff. And I said, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. Leave me alone. I'm going to stand up to him and tell him where to go. Well, before I could do any of that, he had a hold of my boyfriend's arm. And he literally, both hands gripped it like this, like a death grip. It was an inhuman strength. It was weird. And he just hung on. He was going to break his arm. And I looked directly at him, and his eyes were pitch black. There was no color at all. And it wasn't just the lighting. I could feel the energy. He was like empty. And I looked right through him, and I said, "Let go now." And at first he kind of blinked. And then I said it even stronger. I said, "No, now." And I had my hands on top of his hands. He jerked back. He let go. And I don't even know if anybody, in the moment, I didn't think to ask if anybody later saw that. I didn't talk to anybody after that. So it's kind of weird. But he literally let go, bowed to me, and said, "I respect your authority," and fled the house. Well, in the meantime, we kept trying to call the cops. They were taking so long to get there. And after I said what I said, and he bowed and said, "I respect your authority," still not even sure if that was just me that heard it and saw it. Kind of weird. I never thought about that till now when I was telling the story either. You don't, in the moment, you don't think to ask people, but he fled the house, and he literally was tased over and over again, multiple times. He was finally on the ground and flopped a few times. And then, not to be funny, but so when other people talk about people being possessed and possession, I have firsthand experience, and there was definitely something there, whether what really is a demon, and that's another one. I almost wonder if it's just a dark entity. It was a draconian. I almost want to say an archon, but then you want to sit there and go, what is an archon? I mean, people lie about so much information, and so much information, even ancient information, seems to be wrong sometimes. You just don't know what it really is. And so to me, it's just like an entity had possessed him and took over his body, because he had no control over himself because he was always drunk. And so it let a monster in. Pretty sure I got rid of him. I'm sure that entity left that body after being tased a few hundred times. I never seen him for a long time after that either. They held him in jail for a long time. So, yeah, that was my first experience. It was pretty bizarre. Well, and then after that, his actual half-brother ran into me, and we hung out a little bit. And he actually started talking about tattoos. And I just had this sudden, like I don't know, subconscious idea to get angel wings tattooed on my back, and not just any angel wings, they're seraphim wings. And he tattooed my wings, and I honestly feel like I literally earned my wings that day. It's kind of weird, but it's how I felt. Because after that, that's when I started having work done on my wings and stuff. He did a terrible botch job of it, and I had them fixed, but still, that's when I had my wings done too. So, it's just all them coincidences adding up to, having gifts and seeing things others don't, and really open after that to a lot of different things. And I didn't have a whole lot happen to me after that for a while. And then it was like, literally when everyone was, 2020 is when a lot of people had even more gifts unlocked and sat and got to experience a lot more spiritual things going on. It's like it was like a starting point for everybody to wake up and realize there's a lot more out there. So I try not to be offended easily. I try to listen to everyone's perspectives, but when you experience something that profound and strong yourself, when people are trying to poke fun and say, oh, but that person wasn't possessed. How do you know? You have no idea what that person went through. And I don't know, to me, I feel it's like a disrespect to the dead. It's disrespectful to sit there and try to call people liars, because you really don't know. So I try not to take offense. I really don't. But when I have my first experience with it, it's kind of spooky and ominous. Okay. So yeah, that's the base of my story.
I'm gonna usually I ask people if they were under any kind of influence, but what I heard is through the party, there was the normal drinking and all that. And demonic possession usually attacks people when they're kind of at the lowest, and that usually deals with alcohol and drugs somewhat. But if I heard right, so it's not you that were possessed, people that were around you had the possession. And if I heard right, two people technically, one, your first boyfriend was possessed, and another time that another person was possessed around you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a weird question. I know it's kind of weird, because do you feel like maybe somehow you're a conduit to getting people possessed? I know how weird it sounds, because two people around you possessed, but not you. So Are they being possessed through you somehow? Because you're saying you have some kind of gifts in a way.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that could have been. It could have been that I was there because I could see it and do something about it. But you're right; it could have also been because they were attracted to me and wanted to attack me.
Let me ask you this, Angel Wings. Let me see how this makes you feel. Coming from a Catholic school background and educated with the church, growing up and all of that, right? We were taught that certain souls are angelic and certain souls are demonic. And spirits, when you die, your spirit goes elsewhere. And those demonic entities or those angelic entities will always find themselves attached to humans. So I may have an angelic attachment and another person may have a demonic attachment, right? But then there's people such as yourself with gifts that can recognize the demonic and the angelic. Would you consider at that time when you were at that party and you realized you had these gifts that you were recognizing there at that party that person was a person, but he had a demonic entity attached to him, and you were able to recognize that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Make sense?
Yeah.
And do you find that quite often when you're, out maybe shopping or at a party or whatever, that you can very easily spot somebody that might have a demonic attachment or an angelic attachment? Can you spot that?
Yeah. True. Yeah, because they'll always they'll try to come at me, and I'll feel a negative presence, a negative energy, because it's sensing me too.
Almost like you're empathic to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like trying to make a connection. So you said your first boyfriend was a Native American. that got possessed. Was the second person by any chance was Native American by any chance, or
maybe a little bit, but I don't think so. He didn't have any bloodlines to it.
I was just curious because Native Americans usually are more open-minded with the spiritual side versus other kind of races, and I was just curious if they're, because of somebody's more open-minded, is that allowing a possession to happen? You know, I'm just trying to figure this stuff out myself.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he was necessarily, my boyfriend was necessarily possessed, but I think he was affected by the dark entity that was possessed by that other person.
He was from Alaska. Was he Inuit? Inuit? Is that how they pronounce them?
Yeah, he was an Inuit.
Okay.
So how long have you said something else that's kind of very interesting in a lot of ways. You said about 2020 is when you notice a lot of people not powers. I don't want to sound like Marvel superpowers, but you said unlocked. And I heard that from you saying 2020. I mean, was there something that happened in 2020 where you felt a switch in you where when you say unlock, what do you mean more by unlock? And what was special about 2020 where you said the word 2020, more people were unlocked?
Well, I think it was the pandemic when they sent everybody home and everyone had more time to be with themselves and be online and be able to talk more and be together as people. And were able to experience more things and learn more about themselves.
Okay.
Because it was like I was guided. I was like literally led to a whole bunch of different sites. I even stumbled across, because I had a dream about a gray also. But, it didn't like totally click. It didn't really scare me. I wasn't scared of it at all. I didn't realize anything much about it until I started getting led down that path. And then here's this UFO channel and then another UFO channel. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I kind of actually fit in there then. It's like the realization, and then you're led to so many different things. It's like you're following like an energy, like other people share that same experience.
So not unlock where you
aren't hearing that.
I heard that.
That's what I'm talking about.
I heard that. I'm serious. I heard that.
You definitely recorded that. It's like something's mimicking us.
I heard that.
You heard that, right?
Yeah. It was like, yeah. I can't wait to go back through this now, guys. This is.
I know we're recording right now, but you can edit. I'm in the beginning when I said hello to her, something spoke back to me in like a growling voice, like making fun of me.
Oh, this is so fun. This is going to be so fun.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
If I'm channeling something naughty, I'm very sorry.
No. So I'm gonna. This is fun in a weird way. So
I felt like I was nuts for a minute in the beginning, and you just heard that.
Guys, this is oh man, this is awesome. So when you said unlock, you're not really meaning like you. 2020, you just saw all these connections, all these people being possessed. You're saying you had the opportunity in a lot of different ways because of the pandemic to listen to people's stories and being kind of more open-minded in a way where that's where you start unlocking things, because what else did you have to do those years in a weird, strange way?
Yeah. And then I started sensing more of my gifts too, being more in tune with myself and more in tune with everything going on. It's like I could focus more and learn more, and it just progressively started increasing.
What do you mean by gifts? Like what gifts do you have?
Well, like I can sense different energies. I can legitimately sense an actual spirit form. You know how you see the orbs? I can feel them when they're touching me. That's why sometimes I'll reach up and go like this, because I can feel something there. Or
I heard that. It's almost like a stomach growl.
I'm telling you, it's something mimicking us.
Oh no.
See, look, that's what I'm talking about. Listen to her story. People are being affected around her. But now what's interesting is if that's the case, mostly people get affected are people that are close to you in person around you. Now, this is through internet. That's powerful. Is something is doing it through her,
Yeah.
through the internet. That's amazing. But since you know this now, so how are you living life now, knowing that people have gotten possessed by you, and weird things, and you even heard weird things happening with Anthony right now?
I know.
How does
I'm a
that
little
affect
freaked
you
out.
going forward?
Well, it's chaos, really, because it's like, well, because I can sense every time there's an energy shift, like when there's a really powerful amount of energy, I can sense that right through my whole body, and sometimes I have to go to sleep. It makes me really tired sometimes. So it's like struggling trying to keep jobs and trying to find a job where I'm not going to be tired all the time, but it's like so much energy conduit through me. It's crazy.
Well, since 2020, and now it's 2023, has any other possessions has happened around you that you've noticed?
No, I clear them all the time. So I might have
when you
one
say clear them, I mean, to clear something, you have to see it to clear it, right?
Well, I can sense and feel it.
She can sense it.
You
Yeah.
can sense it.
So what do you do?
So then
So technically, they are kind of still happening, but you're catching it before it gets out of control.
Yeah, I'm more aware of it now, and I remove the entity, the source, whatever you want to say. I cleanse my house, I'll cleanse myself, and I'll play frequency music that removes the presence and removes everything.
I have to ask, do entities come to visit you like that haven't crossed over and need help and stuff like that? Do you get that?
They could. Right now, I'm dealing with. Well, see, my kid calls them dragons, so I'm dealing with a lot of dragon spirits. And I can feel them like sit on my shoulder and hide out, and I can feel like I have like energy or etherical wings sometimes, or maybe a presence that senses me that makes me feel like I have wings. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I don't find that odd because I think again to the point that they made when we were in Catholic school. The priest used to tell us all the time that there are people on this earth that have angelic attachments, and there are people in this world that have demonic attachments. So if you have an angelic attachment and you're sensitive and prone to feeling that, maybe you really do feel your etheric wings from time to time. I wouldn't doubt it, and we were even taught that archangels from time to time fall back to heaven to live as humans because they want to relive that experience, and then after their time here, they go back to being, divine entities. Maybe that's a situation that you're dealing with, but you're just unaware.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. The last question is Anthony explaining on the church side. Are you yourself? Are you religious in the church world, or not? Would you say you're Catholic by any chance? Are you religious by any chance?
Well, occasionally I'll entertain my mom and go to church with her.
But you weren't baptized or anything like that?
Well, I was baptized, and as a kid I was forced to go, but I just saw through a lot of it, and I'm like, well, that's not, I don't know, just something about me. A lot of it doesn't come off as true, or well, and then you think back, it's changed all the time by multiple people. You don't know if it's really the truth. It's just someone's spiritual experience.
And by any chance, do you, since you know all this has happened, have you carried a cross with you, holy water, by any chance? Is anything that's religion, say, weapon, not weapons, but.
Well, occasionally I'll have crosses sometimes, but they don't really do a whole lot. Your energy and your presence and your voice does more.
Well, I've heard it's not technically.
Yeah.
If I heard, maybe Anthony could correct me on this. It's not technically that the cross is magical. It's the faith that you have in.
Yeah, it's your energy you have with it. It's an object with your energy.
That's right.
Okay. So, Angel Wings, I want to thank you very much for telling us the story. I know I saw you got a little motion in it, so I could see that it was still, it still affects you to this day.
Yeah. For you, yeah. Thank you.
And I'm going to give my final thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys behind the scenes. This story took a total different turn that I thought. Like I said, I don't talk to our guests about their story prehand because I want everything to be new, on the spot, and knowing that the people around her were getting possessed. That's more interesting than a person himself being possessed, because was people being possessed around her because of her? Was she the conduit that caused them to get possessed? I mean, it's hard to say, because science cannot explain this kind of stuff. You know, could even religion explain this kind of stuff? And this is why it's so important to hear these stories, to start putting pieces together. You know, what is her story versus this story, that story? I mean, it's scary in so many ways, but there's some encouragement that I've learned within the story, that she was seeing this and she was learning the abilities to stop it, to fight against it, to basically say, I have enough. You ain't possessing anybody else anymore. You're done possessing people. So there's a lot of courage that I've just heard within this story, to know that, hey, I shouldn't just worry about myself being possessed, about other people, about knowing the fact that you can't control it. You can say, get the hell out of here. Go to Chicago. Go to Detroit. Nah, I'm sorry, Detroit. I don't want anything bad happen to Detroit. I want to hear that Detroit's falling, you know, big earthquake, and finding out it's because of me that I told all the bad spirits to go to Detroit. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So Detroit people, I'm sorry. Beyond that, I hope you guys, I hate to use the word enjoy, because we're enjoying something at somebody else's expense. It's weird to think about it that right? It's weird to think about it. But hopefully you learn that possession could be real. It can happen. And if you heard her, it does happen. But at the end of the day, you have the power to help fight against it. Beyond that, if you guys have any questions for Angel Wings, leave it in the comment. Write big words, question. And I'll make sure that Angel Wings herself checks your questions through the comments. So please leave your comments. Ask any questions you want. I guarantee you that Angel Wings will get back to you and answer those questions. Beyond that, I appreciate all of you for being here, and I'll see you next time on the Paranormal Highway.